I meditated without my family knowing. Here's what happened. This morning's lesson is drawn from a sincere question posed on Reddit. How to meditate in secret. The individual writes, I'm staying at my family's home for a few months. I'm sleeping in the living room so I don't have privacy. How can I meditate without looking weird? Why could it be necessary to keep one's meditation a secret? There are times when we visit family, perhaps on a weekend, perhaps for a week. There are other times when we visit family, not because we want to, but because we have to due to medical or financial misfortune. In those times, we can feel, correctly so, like our back is against the wall. If our family is narrow-minded or rigid or full of religious prejudice, they might frown upon our contemplative practices. Sometimes in the name of pragmatism, we have to get creative. And yet, at the same time, if we started practicing meditation, something probably drove us to it. No one ever says, my life is perfect the way it is, I think I'll start meditating. Usually people say, I could really use some more peace. I think I'll start meditating. So that we were posed with a dilemma. Overt meditation might not be possible, but some form of meditation is required. The needs that drove us to meditate remain. So in this situation, what I recommend is brisk walking meditation. There is a myth that meditation is concentration. It is not. There is a myth that we must concentrate upon lifting our foot, moving our foot, setting our foot, and then repeating that on the other side. That's not meditation. That's concentration. It's completely different. A careful reading of the Satipatthana Sutta reveals that meditation is what occurs while we're doing something else, while we are sitting or standing or walking or lying down. It isn't just those actions. Mindfulness is not concentration, and we'll explore that in greater detail in a few minutes. But before we get to the nitty-gritty, let's stick with the overview. Brisk walking meditation is great for your body. It's great for your emotions. It's a wonderful tool to process whatever traumatic memories may be coming up. In fact, it's been said that rapid eye movement desensitization was conceived during a walk. It was either Goethe or, who was the German philosopher with a mustache? Who wrote Mensch and Übermensch? Who wrote that? Anyway, one of those two, Nietzsche, it was either Nietzsche or Goethe, said, never trust an idea that does not occur to you during a walk. So the Buddha practiced and taught walking meditation. His three favorite meditations were walking meditation, sitting meditation, and reclining meditation. So let's explore how we can actually practice walking meditation in a meaningful way. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we are accessing the sympathetic nervous system, found not within the 3-pound supercomputer between our ears. It is ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord, the region that corresponds or correlates with our rib cage. It has not evolved to indulge either extreme of mind blanking or active concentration. Well then, what has it evolved to do? Our sympathetic nervous system has evolved to merely perceive, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. A great way. Now, you might say, well, if we're wired to do this automatically, then what's the big deal? Due to a quirk of evolution, the supercomputer between our ears often gets in the way. Non-maliciously, it's just eager to, to do its thing. Therefore, the question is, how do we get the 3-pound supercomputer to cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system? Simple. During each inhalation, we can silently and mentally recite, "Notice this." Now, you will begin noticing things. You will notice sights and sounds and sensations and flavors and scents and the like. You could also notice emotions and tensions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. You could notice the external, the internal, the physical, the mental, the pleasurable, the painful, the interesting, the boring, the glorious, and the grotesque. So a very understandable response to that is ask, then, what do we do with that which we notice? And the answer is, we meditate. But how do we do that? During each exhalation, whether we know it or not, whether we feel it or not, whether we mean to or not, we are accessing the parasympathetic nervous system. Ensconced within the lower lumbar region of our spinal cord, as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. So once again, we have the similar problem of our brain either running amok or actively cooperating. So how do we get our brain to actively cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system? You probably guessed this already, but during each exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the 3-syllable verb relaxing. Now, bear in mind, neither noticing nor relaxing are contrivances. These are things that we've already evolved to do during each inhalation and during each exhalation. By playing with this verbiage, where you're simply allowing our brain proper to harmonize intentionally with our autonomic nervous system. So if you are new to meditation, or if you're new to brisk walking, proceed gradually. Maybe the first walk is 5 minutes, the second walk is 10 minutes. Maybe the third walk is 15 minutes, and the fourth walk is 20 minutes. Listen to your body. You will not improve your coping skills by running ramshackle over your physical needs. Just as exercise, fresh air, and sunshine are physical needs, so is rest, hydration, and the consumption of healthy foodstuffs. Fruits, vegetables, grains, seeds, nuts, legumes, pulses, tubers, and the like. These are the foodstuffs we evolved to thrive on, and they are super reasonable. You can buy these type of foodstuffs at your local 99-cent store. So there you have it. You have a meditation strategy for when you find yourself in a circumstance where meditation is frowned upon. Oh, I do look forward to chanting and meditating with you this morning after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours almost every day studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Now, if you can't afford to give, that's just fine. You can support us by, liking and sharing and giving us thumbs up and all that kind of good stuff. No financial hardship is required. So welcome to this morning's practice text, Buddha's Easy Meditation. Much like cooking flapjacks, we're going to flip and flop between mantra meditation and silent meditation, so I think it makes sense to review the meaning of the mantra. Please chant with me. With whom we invoke the archetype of the Muni, wise one, Maha greatly wise one, Muni, yea, of thy Shakya, Soha, enlightenment for all. Oh, that's weird. Look at that. All the techniques and practices of contemporary Buddhist meditation can fit into 4 categories. Preliminary practices, bliss and letting go, awareness and letting go, and love and letting go. Let us begin with the energy work of bliss and letting go, and an exercise known in Tibet as Lama, which translates into English as calling the teacher as from afar. We're practicing this not literally, but figuratively. This image of one of the first tantric adepts to come to Tibet, Padmasambhava, represents our own enlightened nature, our own neurological capacity to not only to master, no less practice the Buddha's teachings. This copulating couple overhead literally remind us of the sensations we might experience upon our crown, and figuratively remind us of both the teacher and the teachings. So, what is the philosopher's stone that transforms the lead of mindless mantra recitation into the gold of spiritually protective mantra meditation? It is twofold. During our inhalation, we could silently, mentally, and passively recite this italicized bit. And during our exhalation, we could physically relax as best we can, while striving to chant this 12-syllable mantra 4 times per breath. If this is your first time working with this mantra, please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Having trained in bliss and letting go, we now turn our attention to the first of 4 introductions to the spontaneous practice of awareness and letting go. Treating our breath like the way a piano student treats a metronome. When we notice our body breathing in during this first of 4 exercises, we could silently and mentally recite, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. Likewise, when we notice our body exhaling of its own accord, we could silently and mentally recite an additional 12-syllable recitation, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. we turn our attention to the outer set of preliminary practices. From a certain point of view, when giving ourselves permission to exercise the vulnerability, to notice others' stress, sows the seed for our own empathy. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. 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 After a week of practice, or 2 weeks of practice, when you've grown comfortable with this 12-syllable mantra, if you wanted to, you could gently rest your gaze upon the one italicized word comprised entirely of capital letters. You don't have to, but you might find it useful. Rather than ghoulishly looking at interdependence as that which will punish us, far more empowering it could be to look at interdependence as that which helps our love to lighten others' loads. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. 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 Rather than being defined by the fear of inevitable death, let us use various facets of impermanence to remind us of the folly of grasping. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. 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 For instance, the object of our love or our lust will not live forever. We who love or lust will not live forever. The relationship we share with that person will not live forever. Some would call this the 3 circles of emptiness. Rather than neurotically driving ourselves to meticulously make the most of each precious meditation opportunity, how much more sustainable could it be to simply flow with our decisions and our utterances and our deeds, to simply flow with the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity that is strengthened by our regular practice of mindfulness and meditation. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. 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 Let us continue on our journey of mastering spontaneous awareness and letting go. During our inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite sitting tall, just for the length of time it takes to practice our second exercise. Doing so can remind our body to generate a spontaneous vertical traction between our tush and our head. During our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the 3-syllable verb relaxing. This is not contrivance, for we are already wired to physically relax and mentally release during each exhalation due to our parasympathetic nervous system. We turn our attention to the inner set of preliminary practices adapted from the final meditation manual of the great Tibetan Buddhist yogi Dzogchen Rinpoche. Let us cultivate the compassionate desire to free all beings from the toxic tyranny of forever hating and craving and clinging, known also as the three mental poisons. Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa, Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa, Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa, Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa. It's cool that we wish to liberate others, but wishing is not enough. We need to actually master the teachings if we ever hope to share the teachings. And doing so is as simple as relying upon the example of the Buddha, whether he or she was real or archetypical, as well as the teachings and students attributed to the Buddha. This is known metaphorically as the three wish-fulfilling jewels. Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa, Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa, Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa, Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa. Few things are as effective at squandering our time, energy, and relationships as being a defensive dickhead. So instead, let us apply that same enthusiasm to learning from our own mistakes. Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa, Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa, Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa, Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa. Death is an inevitability, but we have evolved to fear it as a survival mechanism. A way that we can cope with the fear of the inevitable is to bring it into the path of contemplation. We could imagine that what it could be like if we had the very good fortune to have both the intellectual wherewithal as well as the circumstances that supported the coalescence of a real or imagined subtle energy into our very subtle mind at the right behind our heart, at the point of death, and then it being shot like an arrow up our central channel, out our crown, and into the heart of our metaphoric teacher, which is nothing less than the mastery of awareness and letting go. From that worldview, we could look back upon our discarded body and possessions and talents and lovingly wish that all beings everywhere would benefit from them. Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa, Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa, Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa, Om Mani Mani Ma Mani Yesawa. We return to our third stepping stone on the path to mastering spontaneous awareness and letting go. This time during our inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite, "Notice this," in harmony with our sympathetic nervous system. And during our exhalation, continue to silently and mentally recite, "Relaxing," in harmony with our parasympathetic nervous system. We come now to our third exercise of bliss and letting go, described in Sanskrit as Guru Yoga, also known in Tibetan as Lama, which we see the rainbow body of Padmasambhava reminds us that of our interdependent and impermanent enlightened potential, whereas the teacher at the heart reminds us literally of sensations we could experience during this exercise and figuratively of the teacher and the teachings. Whoops, what happened there? Okay. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. We come to the fourth step on the path to mastering spontaneous awareness and letting go. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite, well, let's put it to you this way. Having trained in bliss and letting go, during our inhalation, we can kick back and watch the antics of mind as silently and mentally we recite the demonstrative pronoun this. Similarly, during our exhalation, we could relax into mind's non-graspable nature as silently and mentally we recite the one-syllable verb ease. Having climbed to contemplative cruising altitude together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as Rey on Ahch-To under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. Now let us enter the gateway of tantric practice, by bringing the experience of the four bases of mindfulness into the conventional path of love and letting go, where it is love that is emphasized and it is jealousy that is leapt over. There is, during these next 4 exercises, or 8 exercises, there is no need to practice active visualization or to emote or believe or try to practice magic. All we're going to do is use breathing and mantra and words to exercise the neural pathways responsible for love. Let us lovingly wish that each mind of each being now possessed the enlightened wisdom of a real or imagined Buddha, symbolized by a one-syllable mantra known as a seed mantra, such as Hum. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa. May each being's experience of the interpersonal now be as profoundly loving as that of a real or imagined Buddha, symbolized by a polysyllabic mantra. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa. May each body of each being now enjoy the health that is enjoyed by the archetype of enlightenment or yidam represented in Buddhist statuary. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa. May each circumstance of each being now enjoy the safety and good fortune depicted in Buddhist paintings of real or imagined paradises or pure lands or vatis. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Sawa. Having trained in love and letting go, let us now rest in the spontaneous awareness in letting go. Let us view letting go through a physiological lens as we bring the experience of the four bases of mindfulness into the ultimate path of love and letting go, where it is letting go that is emphasized and it is pride that is leapt over. During each inhalation, our circumstances and the circumstances of others can seem readily apparent. And yet, as we physically relax into the verbal recitation of this mantra, each circumstance of each being could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined paradise or pure land or vati comprised only of light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. As we breathe in, each body of each being could seem downright sensual, and yet, as we physically relax into the verbal recitation of this mantra, each body of each being could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as the real or imagined enlightened archetype or yadam, comprised only of light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. During each exhalation, all communication, the manifestation of our relationships, could seem downright resounding. And yet, as we physically relax into the verbal recitation of this mantra, this exact same communication could begin to feel as if it was as a non-graspable as a real or imagined mantra comprised only of light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. During each inhalation, we could clearly experience our mind's perceptions, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. And yet, as we physically relax into the verbal recitation of this mantra, all minds of all beings could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as a real or imagined seed mantra comprised only of light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Let us bring the five body regions into the path of bliss and letting go. As we physically relax into the verbal recitation of this 12-syllable mantra, whatever lower abdomen we might have perceived during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as Amoga city's real or imagined syllable comprised only of emerald light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. As we physically relax into the verbal recitation of the 12-syllable mantra, whatever navel region we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as Ratnasambhava's real or imagined syllable drum comprised only of gold light. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As we physically relax into the verbal recitation of this 12-syllable mantra, whatever chest we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as Akshobhya's real or imagined syllable hung comprised only of sapphire light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. As we physically relax into the verbal recitation of this 12-syllable mantra, whatever throat we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could now begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as Amitabha's real or imagined syllable Hri comprised only of ruby light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. As we physically relax into the verbal recitation of this 12-syllable mantra, whatever crown or scalp or top of our head we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as Varochana's real or imagined syllable Om comprised only of diamond-colored light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Let us bring the 5 perceptions into the path of awareness and letting go. As we relax during our exhalation, whatever appearance we might have noticed during our inhalation could feel less graspable. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. As we relax during our exhalation, whatever sound we might have heard during our previous inhalation could begin to feel less graspable. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Oopsie, let's continue here. Got a little carried away. That happens once in a while. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever scent we might have smelled during our inhalation could begin to feel less graspable. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever flavor we might have tasted during our previous inhalation could begin to feel less graspable. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever sensation we might have sensed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel less graspable. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Let us bring the 5 mental poisons into the path of awareness and letting go. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever hate we might have felt during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn. Whoops, let's try this again. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever hate we might have felt during our previous inhalation can begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as mirror-like wisdom. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Welcome to this morning's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. As we physically relax into the verbal recitation of this 12-syllable mantra, whatever pride or self-centeredness we might have felt during our inhalation, we begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as equalizing wisdom. Now, if this is your first time playing with this 12-syllable mantra, please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. As we physically relax into our exhalation, whatever craving or desire we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as discerning wisdom. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. As we physically relax during our exhalation, whatever competitiveness or jealousy we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as all-accomplishing wisdom. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. As we physically relax into our exhalation, whatever confusion or befuddlement or turmoil we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as all-pervasive wisdom. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Let us bring the spontaneous play of mind into the path of awareness and letting go. During our inhalation, we could silently, mentally, and passively recite relaxing into this. In 1989, Faith No More, in the song Epic, posed the musical question, what is this? What is this? This is whatever we notice during our inhalation. This is whatever we notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. This could be a sight, a sound, a sensation, a flavor, a scent, or the like. This could be an emotion, an intention, a thought, a memory, or an imagining. This could be external, internal, physical, mental, pleasurable, painful, interesting, boring, glorious, or grotesque. What do we do with that which we notice? We physically relax as best we can into the verbal recitation of this 12-syllable mantra. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. As Morticia Adams said to Gomez, do not torture yourself. That's my job. So I say unto you, please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. 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 Having chanted the mantra 16 times, during our inhalation, let us kick back and simply watch the play of mind as silently and mentally we recite the demonstrative pronoun this. Similarly, during our exhalation, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb is during each exhalation. During our inhalation, let us silently, mentally, and passively recite, relaxing into this. During our exhalation, let us physically relax as best we can into the verbal recitation of this 12-syllable mantra. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Let us seal this morning's practice with the love that wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. Together, let's chant. May all minds of all beings lucid yet void now be as wise as a Buddha's mind symbolized by a one-syllable mantra. May all speech of all beings resounding yet void now be as loving as a Buddha's speech symbolized by a multi-syllable mantra. May all forms of all beings sensual yet void now be as healthy as a yidam depicted in Buddha's statuary. May all lots of all beings appearing yet void now be as fortunate as a pure land of law depicted in Buddhist paintings. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 hours or so, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.